Hey guys, so my original plan this week was to finally go see Lone Survivor. That has been a movie that I've been hearing a lot of good things about for the last couple of weeks, and I've been asked a lot about my opinion on the movie. And I was really dead set on going to see it until I found out my theater was putting out Dallas Buyers Club in Nebraska for only 1 week. Those movies are the only two movies that are nominated for Best Picture that I haven't seen yet. So I was dead set on going to see those. And I will get around to finally getting to see Lone Survivor one of these days, I promise. It probably won't be until it comes to the cheap theater, which is, I don't know when that will happen. But it will definitely be in the next few months, and I will get around to seeing that movie, I promise. Just won't be for maybe a few weeks. Um, but I will get to see it. I really want to see it. I hear really good things about it. And also, the movie looks really good, in my opinion. Um, but let's get on to my reviews. The first movie I saw was Dallas Buyers Club. Dallas Buyers Club is a movie that I've been really, really looking forward to for the last couple months. Um, there's two reasons for that. Matthew McConaughey, who is a guy that I have been giving a lot of praise for the last couple of years, which is really weird for me because I am a guy that hated Matthew McConaughey for almost like a decade because he kept doing all these stupid romantic comedies, and I almost forgot that he was actually a really good actor. It wasn't until 2011 when I saw The Lincoln Lawyer that my opinion of him changed almost immediately. And from that point forward, he did nothing but great, has been doing nothing but great roles. He quit doing romantic comedy stuff and started to take more serious roles. And this movie looked like this was going to be his career defining movie or role. And I was really looking forward to it. Also, I thought the story for this movie looked really good. It wasn't just Matthew McConaughey being in this movie that sold me. It was also, like I said, the story. Story just looked like a story that needed to be told. It looked really fascinating. It sold me solely almost on the story alone, and it looked like with the actors involved that this could be done really well. So, is this movie worth all the praise? Yeah, it is. It's worth all the praise. It's worth all the nominations. It's definitely going to win big come Oscar time, in my opinion. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. I don't see that happening, but I definitely see it winning in the acting categories. Definitely. Um, this movie, I don't know. This movie is one of those films that you can't say anything else that has already been said. So I'm going to try to put my own spin on it. Matthew McConaughey, obviously, like everybody has said, is phenomenal in this movie. This is definitely his career-defining movie. This is definitely his best role to date. The transformation he did in this fucking movie is insane. Like, how skinny he is like scary, and it almost makes him unrecognizable. I mean, it's not a hard thing for him to do because he was already a fit guy, but to lose even more weight than he already he's already a fit guy, like I said, and then lose more weight like that and look like that is kind of scary. I hope it doesn't have any bad effects on his health later in his life. But he is awesome in this movie. When you go for the emotional journey he goes through in this film, you go through it in this film, and he is the only actor out there that could play a guy who's kind of an asshole, like Ron Woodruff or whatever you say his name, because he is a homophobic guy, and he also plays the stereotypical Texan out there, that is very prejudiced and very homophobic. And like at the beginning of the movie, he's talking about how this is set in the 80s when they found out Rock Hudson was gay and had AIDS. He's like, oh, well, look at Rock Hudson, now he's a fucking cocksucker. Stuff like that. That's the kind of dialogue you hear in the beginning of the movie. And then he finds out, like, 5 minutes later that he has AIDS. And he is asked whether or not he's had homosexual activity. It does play up, and people that might have problem with the way he acts around gays or other people act around gays, you gotta remember, that's how the reaction that AIDS got when it first hit in the 80s. I mean, all those, like, stereotypes that maybe you can't touch people that with AIDS because you might get it too. There was all those urban myths, and his character at the beginning does portray all those all those myths, and he believes all those myths, and so does a lot of his friends, to the point that when he gets AIDS, they don't even want to touch him. They don't even want to see him, and they think he's a homosexual because he has AIDS. It's at that point in the history of AIDS, which sounds weird, that we didn't know much about it, and we just thought it was just contracted because of homosexuals. And Matthew McConaughey, my point is, Matthew McConaughey takes a guy who, if it was given to some other actor, it might not be pulled off as well. When you got a charismatic actor like Matthew McConaughey, who's pretty much hard to not like in a role, because he's so charismatic, he pulls it off well and makes the character likable. Like, the other person, obviously, that's getting a lot of praise, and I give praise too, is Jared Leto, who I think is a shoo-in come Oscar time. I mean, he's this year's and half away. He's probably, I think everybody can expect that he's going to win come Oscar time. I mean, there's a lot of great a lot of great performances nominated alongside him, but he has the biggest chance of winning. And he definitely deserves it. He is definitely a great, flawed character that is very likable, very charismatic, just like Matthew McConaughey, but homosexual, but like in a gay way. It sounds weird, but he's very good in this movie. I really enjoyed the hell out of Jared Leto, and the transformation he goes under in this film is great. Also, Jennifer Garner's great in this movie. I don't really like Jennifer Garner one way or another. I think she's really good in this movie. I don't think she's got enough praise either. I think she was somebody that got a little overlooked, but she definitely does a really good job in this movie. Steve Zahn, who plays this pretty serious role in this film as Matthew McConaughey's friend, who kind of turns against him when he finds out he has AIDS, but pops up here and there throughout the movie as a cop that pops in when Matthew McConaughey is usually in trouble. This movie also, in my opinion, is a story that needs to be seen, because, and that's one of the reasons why I give this movie a lot of praise, is because this guy, Ron Woodruff, or whatever you want to call it, that might be saying his last name right or wrong, is, in my opinion, a real hero. The fact that the FDA and the pharmaceutical companies do the stuff that they do in this movie and still do it today is pretty sad and kind of frightening. And I've always had an issue with the healthcare industry, and this made me pissed off after watching this. That the fact that they still do this to this day. They basically give these drugs. What transpires, what causes Matthew McConaughey to do what he does, is that the FDA and the pharmaceutical companies give this drug AZT to all these AIDS patients, which makes them worse than they already are. It makes their immune system go completely down, and their blood cell count goes way down, and they know, the pharmaceutical companies and the FDA know of all these side effects, but still give them to these patients, and then try to claim that they this drug is giving or is curing these people of these AIDS, which it isn't, and it's making them worse and almost die immediately, and that's pretty sad. I mean, it makes you infuriated, and they still do it to this day because honestly, the only reason that happens is because the pharmaceutical companies make fucking money off of it. And it's fucked up. It's really, really fucked up, and it still happens to this day. It's one of my problems with the medical industry in America, from my opinion. And I believe, and I agree, what this movie tries to say is that if you're about to live, or if you have a terminal illness, and you can find another drug that make you live longer, I say, hell, you should be able to take it. Why not? It's pretty sad. I mean, and he has to go through all this, but the best part about this movie, and I think, spoiler alert, he does die in 1992. He doesn't die in the movie, but it is said at the end of the movie he does die in 1992. But he was given 30 days to live. And he was given the AZT. He was taking the AZT, and that was making him worse. But when he started taking all these experimental drugs from Mexico, all stuff like that, and started giving them to AIDS patients, he started to get better. And he ended up living 7 years. That's pretty amazing. When a guy who was given 30 days to live ends up living 7 more years. That's really cool. And that should tell you that how fucked up the industry, the healthcare. This movie kind of, like I said, it kind of infuriates you, and it definitely, things need to change in this freaking country with that shit. But whatever. I mean, I like how towards the end of the movie he compares them to drug dealers, which fucking FDA and the pharmaceutical companies are. It's fucked up. I mean, there are. I'm not saying isn't medication that doesn't work. It does, and there are medications. But look, a good example of how fucked up, the pharmaceutical companies, FDA. Look at all the stuff that gets approved. And then you see commercials for them, and they list all the side effects. Why the fuck would you, after you hear all the side effects and all that stuff, why would you want to fucking take the medication after hearing all the side effects it causes? I don't know. I know I'm kind of getting into the whole health care debate. Whatever. If you want to argue me on that, let me know. But it's just, my opinion, it's just like this movie is a movie that needs to be told. That's why I'm talking about this, is that its message needs to be told, and it is a really good movie. It's really well acted, really well directed. I don't know. I've never seen that guy direct. I don't think I've seen any movies of his. I have to look it up. I didn't look up his filmography. If anybody knows any other movies he made, let me know. Maybe I've seen it, but I've seen his movies before, but I didn't recognize his name. I don't know. But this movie is really, really, really good. I highly recommend it. I definitely think this is Matthew McConaughey is going to win his best actor, probably. Honestly, this year, with the best actor category, is full of nothing but great performances, which I'll talk about the other one here in a little bit. But yeah, I guess I could talk about the trailers, which I guess, you know what, I'll talk about the trailers in my next review, because I got the same trailers for both, got the same trailers in both movies, which is kind of sad, but I'll talk about them in my next review.